Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you're having a wonderful Monday. We are back again with another PWCC/Fanatics weekly review where I go through the top 100 soccer items auction off over on their platform this last weekend. As always, if you enjoy these, do make sure to leave a like. Helps me, helps the channel, all that good stuff. But with that said, let's go ahead and swing on over to the site. So here we go. This week starting at $430, which is a pretty good mark comparatively to where we've been a lot of other weeks. Spoiler, as we've seen the last couple months at this point, soccer is still ripping, still roaring, so there's going to be a lot of good prices in here, generally speaking. So, oh gosh, I've already done it. Anyways, 2014 Gold Prism here. We have many of these that have gone this week. This goes for $430. You have a 66 Pele PSA 6, pop one of 5 higher for $432, along with a Maradona 83-84 football and a 7 for $456. Not ones I guess you see all too often, but still fair prices, if not decent prices, considering lack of watchers, all that good stuff. I mean, $500 for mid-career stuff on those guys isn't, anything all too light by any means. A couple more of these messy autographos that you see from time to time, $456. I mean, I say time to time, we see them about every week. Joe Hart here for $480, kind of light, at least for a notable name, but England is unlicensed in the set, so I'm sure that has, a little something to do with it at the very least. Above it, there will be some more nobilities this week. I did comp this, and yeah, I guess we have a few sales in the past for $300 and $315. So, comparatively, this is up a good bit, especially considering this was an auction. The other ones were best offers, so not a bad price there. The nobility set seems to be a fan favorite. I like the design. You got the name in the background, or at least top or bottom somewhere, and it looks pretty good. But I will say Chrome's kind of taken this and done pretty well with it the last year or so. I think 2023, maybe they had the same sort of style, so I wonder if that ever gets some attention for that. Ronaldo Paxiao Portugal here, 2004, his first Portuguese kit releases. This goes for $492. This is one of those match type of things where you light your matches on the bottom. It's not really a card, but nonetheless, it's graded, and $492 on that. Got a Bonucci here for $504 again. Not crazy for a notable player, at least in my eyes. Some mid-career Cruyff again. Maybe this just goes to show that soccer's booming in general. I don't necessarily know, but like some mid-career Cruyffs that don't really stand out to me. Now, I will say I'm not the most well-versed in all of his, releases and what they mean and all that type of stuff. I get that these are pop one of ones, none higher. I looked up a past sale, though, and, part of the reason could be, this sold in an SGC 8 in May of 2023, and it sold for $69. So I doubt people were, racing out to get them and grade them when that's the result. And then, $516 on this one definitely says, someone was there ready to spend some cash. And, seemingly pretty good prices. I would assume the same sort of holds true for the Rizla next to it, but I'm not quite sure it is hand cut, or at least it seems that way. It's not hand cut, just cut that out. But nonetheless, those seem pretty good. 75 here, I'm imagining this is a South American release. This goes in a 3.5 for $516. We have an auto here of Rodrigo Mora out of 25 from 2024 Topps Chrome. Oh, there's the name, so that's 2024 actually. But yeah, that's out of 25, goes for $528. Thiago Motta, $540 here on a PSA 9 Gold Prism again. I sort of like this, the 77 Crack Cruyff PSA 6, so this is the same set as the Maradona disc comes out in. Clearly well coveted for his rookie, but also in that set you do have a Cruyff here in pretty high grade that goes for $540. My understanding is that the star players in the set have sort of more normal looking cards, and the sort of ancillary players had Pogs, so Cruyff sort of getting his due here. Danny Welbeck out of 10, Gold Prism goes for $552. This 2005 Panini Sports Football Cristiano Ronaldo PSA 8. I feel like I didn't see those, a ton, so I looked it up. And in a PSA 8, there's been a couple sales in the past, $250 and basically $250 again. One in 2025, so seemingly a pretty good jump up in price, nearly double in this calendar year, so not bad at all. We got a Vav here, 4748 Mazzola, PSA 7, goes for $560. Probably, definitely going to be hard to get in that grade, and seemingly a pretty decent price as well. You have a gold Merlin Serie A here of Zinedine Zidane that goes into PSA 8 for $600, which seems like a decent price. From what I understand, these aren't terribly easy to find, and Zidane's surely one of the best players in the set, if not the best, so depending on how you rank that, could be a fun pickup there. PSA 8 also seems like a decent grade, pop on a 3.5 higher. 2015 Select patch here, Cristiano Ronaldo, goes for 630 out of 49. Above it, just a raw. I mean, you used to have PSA 8s doing this prices, but now it's just a raw one. Just a raw Messi number 62, and that goes for 630. So that's, not bad, not bad. Next to it, a couple gold prisms here. One goes for 690, the other one for 690. Actually, both the same exact player, not the same exact grade. So I guess, I take the 8 if I had to choose. For some reason, the 8 has less watchers too. I don't quite get that, but nonetheless, is it a jersey number thing? It's not. Okay, well, whatever. In this row, we got a Cristiano Ronaldo out of 49 red ball. I think that's what this is called. I'm not quite sure. That's like the parallel version of it, but this is the finisher's insert. And in terms of the price, $690 seems pretty decent. I'm sure PSA 10's helping it there, but $690 definitely doesn't seem cheap to me, generally speaking, for what you used to see those go for. Mostly raw, but nonetheless. Hyperplaid here for 2017 Messi. This is unnumbered in the set, but my understanding is it's fairly low print run. It's probably close to the Galactics are around 10 to 15, it's estimated. I think the Hyperplaids are about double that, if I had to guess. And given that they're one of the lower print run cards in the set, they look pretty good in hand too. And a Messi PSA 10 goes for $690, which is pretty decent jump over what they'd been in the past. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing like 300, 400, 500. Sometimes in the past they actually did sell for a pretty good penny. Other times they'd kind of fall short. This one definitely sold for a good penny. It did not fall short at all. Optic Neymar PSA 9 here goes for 700. Kind of crazy. Well, not really, but the last comp on it, I believe I had looked it up because I was interested in this card. I figured if it went cheap, I'd definitely pick it up. And I think the last sale was like $250, I want to say. Somewhere between $200 and $300. And this one goes for $700. So certainly a little bit of a jump there. And, personally, I still like the card. If I had to pick out of the cards in this row, I would take the gold Neymar. But, I just like the card. I like the parallel a lot. The Hyperplaid I like a little bit. I'd probably go gold, Hyperplaid, and then, red ball. But that is my opinion in terms of watchers. Actually, the red ball tops the list, which is kind of surprising. But nonetheless, above it, Fabian Ruiz auto 101 here from Topps Exhibition PSG. This goes for $720. Got a new era Kylian Mbappe for $720 as well. And then a gold Michael Carrick for $750. Above it, we have some more nobility here. This Messi orange out of 75 goes for $750. You have a stained glass Erling Haaland for $750 as well in a PSA 10. And then finally a 1902 Billy Meredith here. PSA 6 goes for $750. Decided to look this one up because you don't see a lot of pre-war with this sort of pop where you can actually get like decent comps. PSA pop of 1 of 11, 8 higher on that. And in terms of past sales for PSA 6, you have $750, $550, $1350, and what's that, $960 down there. So a little bit all over the place, kind of smack dab in the middle depending on how you want to look at it. It seems like they certainly were lower earlier in the year. This doesn't seem like a bad sale. But interesting to sort of see that, wobble up and down in terms of pricing. Above it, the Maradona Calciatore PSA 4 goes for $750. I did look at comps just to get an idea, and in the earlier parts of this year, it was close to like $500 pretty consistently, so that's up about 50%. Ashley Cole out of 10, Gold Prism, $780. This Eusebio Velita back, blue name. This goes in a PSA 4 for $810. That, at its lowest, last year was around like $690 or something, so it's up a smidge, but nothing all too crazy, really. And above it, this Dixie Dean series from 1936, PSA 2 goes for $810. My understanding is this is a pretty rare and, fairly coveted release. Dixie Dean being one of the more notable players in the set as well makes it a pretty good card. Now it is a PSA 2. You got the sort of, chunk missing off the top. So certainly that's going to hamper the price a little bit, but it is a pop 1 of 1 just 2 higher. So ultimately, beggars can't be choosers in that sort of situation. You got to, deal with the hand you've been dealt, and $810 seems like a decent price, but also doesn't seem crazy. Like, at least to my eyes, very notable player, seemingly a fairly notable release as well, and, to be right next to what is basically just a Champions League mass-produced sticker of Messi, I'd take the Dixie Dean, but nonetheless. BGS 95 here goes for $810. That feels like a pretty good price. I don't have comps on this, but I can say that these Messi stickers, like I mentioned before, are fairly attainable, pretty easily. This doesn't have subgrades on it either. It's a BGS sticker, which is always interesting because BGS slabs tend to hurt the sticker and cause it to be wavy, so you always worry about that. Ultimately, 810 feels pretty strong, I will say. Topps Reverence, this is... Again, I'm not the best with Modern, but my understanding is this was a set that was released in the UK, potentially, if not Europe, Greater Europe. But it was released overseas, and my understanding is people are, head over heels for it. It's always interesting to see how non-Americans sort of take to different sets, because it feels to me that they don't have as many sets to choose from, so sort of whatever comes out, if it's even like moderately middle end, maybe even middle high end, I would say this is probably a middle end set. I mean, it's mostly sticker autos. But they seem to look at it as if it's super high end because they don't have a lot of super high end, so it's all relative to them. But the Reverend seems to be a fan favorite, and as an American with many options of what I wish to buy in terms of soccer cards, it doesn't do a whole lot for me, I'll say that, but it seems to do a lot for them. Sort of reminds me of a higher end version of like Score back in the day. Score came out over in Europe and everyone went crazy for it. Meanwhile, here in America, we don't even understand why it's cared about, but nonetheless, all to say, that seems like a decent price. That's what I was getting around to, so there you go. But it is Heung-min Son. He's got a collector base, pretty big one, so take that into account. Up here, take your choice. You got a Merlin Messi out of 50 gold PSA 9. You can have a Lamine Yamal Mega Cracks PSA 10 number 423 or a Maldini out of 10 Nobility gold PSA 10. Personally, it's pretty easy. I take the Messi Merlin playing career out of 50 gold, Barca kit, all that fun stuff. I mean, the Maldini's post-playing career, Lamine Yamal, I don't really have to, justify why I wouldn't pick him, but we do have the Ballon d'Or ceremony today. It'll be interesting. If Lamine Yamal somehow wins, the Ballon d'Or is basically meaningless to me at this point. I've seen so many just preposterous things. Like they robbed Lewandowski. I get the Messi win, but man, Haaland not winning that year felt pretty harsh to me. And then if Lamine Yamal wins off of the year he had last year, I'll be distraught personally. Which might be too much to emotionally put into it, but I don't see how it's even close, really. But nonetheless, keeping it moving. Silver Prism here, $870 on that. Seemed like a pretty good price. I don't believe I looked that one up because we do have a red prism later that we'll look at, and that will probably tell much of the same story as this one. A Baggio PSA 8 from 1985, Calciatore, goes for $900, which is, up a little bit. I mean, last year was January, this year for $416. Could have been had pretty easily anywhere between $400 and $600 last year. So, cool little 2X, not a big deal, right? Gold 2014 Prism here, PSA 9 for $930. You have a 1960 Dida and Pele, PSA 4 goes for $930 here. Didn't look up comps on that, but that feels decent. I don't feel like I remember a lot of these dollar bill type things doing crazy numbers, so nearly 1,000 seems pretty fair. Gold Modric, PSA 8 from 2022 Prism goes for $1,050. And finally, on page 1 here, we have a PSA 7 Messi Mundi Chromo Top Liga non-foil going for nearly $1,200, which, again, just blows my mind because that was a $250 card last year. And, just add a grand on it, and now you're at the same price. So, on to page 1. We start with the Vecchi PSA 2 of Garrincha here, his sort of notable early rookie. He's got earlier items, but they basically never come up. 55 here in a PSA 2 goes for $1,200, which is a decent price. Those have been probably anywhere from like $600 to $1,000 mostly. $1,170 doesn't seem bad at all. It does look like a decent looking copy. I didn't look at the back, but just looking at it from here, it seems solid. We have a 2018 National Treasures Colossal patch, Messi out of 99. I'm pretty sure that's not game worn because we've looked at these a ton, but I'll always click it just because I'm never totally certain. So yeah, player worn. $1,200 for a player worn patch feels pretty good to me, but what do I know? It is a PSA 10, so from that perspective, actually, it could have been a deal because Pop 1 of 1 PSA 10 Messi, feels like 1,000 is almost the bar of entry on an NT type item. 1942 J.M. Moreno PSA 3. This is, I guess it depends on how you look at the 3. I mean, just from here, doesn't look like a great 3. And, I'm sure that certainly hampers its pricing. When you look at the back looks good, but it's, a blank back. And, I mean, I say it looks good. It's definitely got some stuff here going on, but I mean, in terms of paper loss, it seems fairly good. All to say PSA 3, it depends how you look at it. If it's a PSA 3 and true to PSA 3 form in your eyes, then this is going to be a low price. If you see it more as a 1, it's going to be a high price. So, last sale was a PSA 1 here that went for $8.15, but look at those colors. That looks really good. Now, it does have this sort of crease across the front. Presumably, it's also stuck, so the back looks bad, I would think. I don't know. You look at that doesn't look as good. It just doesn't look as good. Now, it's a 3, so I get it. It probably deserves some sort of premium. But man, those ones look nice. I will say that. So I can sort of understand why it didn't get a massive premium, so to speak. Above it, the Man Finest Lamine Yamal for $13.50, no big deal. You got Esteval Select Sparkle here for $13.80 and a PSA 10. You got a Messi PSA 7 for $1,500. Again, I mean, just, it almost isn't even worth talking about their prices on these cards because basically all of them are up like 3x at the very least. And so, we just see one. This did 3x the price it was a year ago. It just is what it is, I guess. Kind of crazy here, although actually I say kind of crazy. It's not really crazy because I already looked at it myself. So a PSA 6 sold for actually nearly, that's the same exact price. It sold for the same exact price as a 7. They're both Campios, but look at that image. Look at that image. That image looks pretty good. You can tell the corner, bottom right corner is a little, definitely white. But then you look at this one and, we got chips everywhere on this PSA 7. You got a chip up top. Corner's kind of chipped. You got 2 chips here on the left. This corner looks pretty bad as well. All to say, this was an earlier graded 7. I doubt it grades a 7 nowadays if you send that back. This is a prime example of how PSA has just gotten so much harsher. This is a 6, right? Yeah, the corners are a little white. This bottom right corner is definitely rough. I mean, it's got basically a chip, but that other one had 3 or 4 chips. And so, grading standards have certainly changed. I saw a video that was sent to me over the weekend of someone that cracked and resubmitted a horde, maybe 50 old baseball and football cards that were graded, mostly PSA 7s or 8s back in the day, back when there was early cert numbers. And now they all came back 1, if not 3 grades lower. Basically, all of them were guaranteed 1 grade drop all the way up to 3. And it's some of the most frustrating. It's among the most frustrating things to see in sports cards. It's just the strictness of which PSA is grading now, because it just feels so unjust. As a buyer of graded cards, as a submitter of raw cards, whatever sort of perspective you want to take. I kind of just rambled a bunch, so I'll cut that out. But basically, it's just crazy to me that amongst different eras of grading, you have to really sort of, I guess, rationalize where certain things should actually be higher, where they should be lower, because PSA was harsh back in the day, or they weren't. Well, they were actually lax back in the day, but now they're harsh, so you kind of got to scale it differently. And in a world where PSA is supposed to take the somewhat, it's all arbitrary, right? But they're supposed to make it as least arbitrary as possible. They're trying to formalize it in a much more sort of palpable way. And even then, they can't really do it. They changed their standards over time. Why? I don't know. They probably would tell you they haven't changed their standards. Technically, the only thing they changed on their website was the centering on a PSA 10. But you can tell that top to bottom, they're harsher on grading, and I don't see why. I don't know what the purpose is for them. Really, I don't know how it helps them. Maybe to sort of mitigate risk on having to pay out on high grade cards that are high price. I have no clue, but just seeing stuff like that super frustrating. And it does go back to the idea of buy the card, not the grade. And I think that's important. I think it matters. I think if you're a true collector, if you're going to hold a card for a long time, I think buying the card, not the grade, is certainly the way to go. I say that, and there's also times where you can buy a high grade card for cheap because it's a bad looking card within the slab, but you still get a super high grade. So, depending on what you care about, you can go different ways, but it's just frustrating to see that type of stuff. Anyways, Kaboom Donruss Early Holland next to a PSA 10 for $16.20. You have a 1997 Futera George Best for $1,800 autographed. I thought this was kind of a deal, so it would seem. Now, in terms of comps, it's actually the highest it's ever sold for. It sold for $960 back in 2021 and a 6 with a 10 auto. It sold for $1,300 and a 6 with an 8, or an 8 with an 8 auto, and then it sold for $1,300. That's the same exact copy, I'm pretty sure. So this is up, $500 over the last year. But, I mean, this type of stuff is just hard to find in soccer. A George Best early 90s auto. I'm pretty sure his auto isn't the easiest to find either on a nice looking Manchester United card. I just think it's a, decent price at this point in time, $1,800. Feels pretty good. A lot of Manchester United collectors out there. George Best, one of the best ever, and, clearly gets a decent price, but I still feel like kind of a deal. I mean, look in this row. PSA 6 Messi, 2004, and Erling Haaland Kaboom, or George Best 1997 Futera auto out of $250. I'd take the Futera auto for sure. And, assuming I had to pay the few $100 extra, that's fine with me. Above it, we have a Christian Pulisic rookie auto, PSA 10, $2,000 there. Yeah, I'd probably take the George Best over it, but nonetheless, decent pricing there. Pop 104, I'm sure that helps it a good bit. His autos, in terms of his rookie year, actually aren't all that plentiful. Like, he does have some, but compared to modern players, his was, fairly scarce back in the day. In my opinion, best American player ever. He hasn't solidified it fully, but I think in terms of the heights that he's reached, it's certainly the best. I mean, he won a Champions League. He scored a lot of Champions League goals, more than any American ever. And for me, that pretty clearly, in terms of club form, puts him up there amongst the best. Now, hopefully 2026 goes well. Hopefully the rest of his national team career goes well. But I think he's pretty much cemented himself in the echelon of top few Americans ever, if not the best. Most people probably don't care, but if you're American, maybe that means a little something to you. 2018 VIP Gold Cristiano Ronaldo out of 10, 2010. And then we got an Immaculate Gold Messi, PSA 10, 2040 here. I take the Immaculate Messi for sure. I mean, it's immaculate. It's got Barca kit. It's PSA 10 thick card. Yeah, I mean, that seems like an easy pick to me. PSA 8 of the number 62 goes for 2040. Again, could have had it for, $500, $600 all day. Up a cool 3 to 4x, no big deal. Christian Pulisic Kaboom 2018 PSA 10 for 2100. I looked this one up and I closed it. Woo! And I just closed the auction block. All right, I'll be back in a sec. Oh my gosh. All right. I'll try to keep going faster because there's a lot above this that are, pretty meaningful. Anyways, the Kaboom's up, as you could imagine. Lionel Messi Purple out of 99, 2200. Again, that's also up a good bit. I think that was around 1,000 last year, if memory serves me right. Red Cristiano Ronaldo 2016 out of 149 goes for 2250. In terms of past comps, you can see here PSA 9 in April did 500, so 4.5x on a BGS 9.5, no big deal. There was a PSA 10 that even sold in 2023 for 690. So yeah, that's up a little bit. Comparatively, I thought the gold sold kind of cheap, honestly, and I wish I would have been willing and ready to go after them. But 2,300 here, I'd take the gold optic all day. I mean, 2016, it is Prism, it is Euro winning Prism, which I think matters. Some people don't. But I still would take the gold here and the gold above it, which we'll see in a second. But yeah, there's a 9.5 right there from Juve kit, which I'd take either of them over that red Prism. Nonetheless, Hector Sharona here from the 1931 Domini Italia. This is, I'm pretty sure, the same set we saw the Miazza from recently. It did a pretty good number. This, in a much better grade, does, I feel like, nearly the same number. So, again, a fun one to see there go. I have a 1-of-1 here of Achraf Hakimi. This goes for 2,400 out of the PSG set. Kylian Mbappe, 2,400 in 2023 Kaboom. What was the Haaland in? Was that 20? Okay, that's 2022. Okay, so 1,600 there for Haaland and 2,400 here for Mbappe. Just sort of taking a peek there. 2,300 on a BGS 8.5 Portuguese kit, or 2,500 on a 9.5 Juve kit. Personally, I kind of like the Juve kit. I mean, people hate on these like times when Cristiano Ronaldo was with Juve and Messi was with PSG and all that stuff, but I mean, it's a part of their career. Juve is not like a slouch of a team. I mean, it's a pretty big club, and I like the imagery as well. I like him with the ball, sort of a nice action shot, as opposed to this where he's just sort of standing broadly. And you get a 9.5 instead of an 8.5, which why not? I take the Juve, but that's again just me. Cristiano Ronaldo auto here, 2022 Immaculate. I think this is a sticker. Yeah, it looks like a sticker. It looks like it goes off a little bit, so I'm just checking there. But 2,500 for a sticker auto doesn't seem bad. You have a BGS 9 here that goes for nearly 3K. This could have been had for, 800 probably all day, every day. You have a 2024 Sapphire Aluminium All Auto for 3,100 for like an initial, I guess. I think that's what that is. An L and a Y maybe. I'm not quite sure. Lionel Messi Auto here, 2022 Chronicles, goes for 3,100. You have a green crystal Mesut Ozil and Cristiano Ronaldo. This goes for 3,200, which in terms of comps, we have 870 on the 2022 sale, this 9.5. And a PSA 10 goes for 3,200. So, there's got to be a little bit of an increase for the grade. I would say that's probably still up at least 2x, though, in totality. PSA 3 Aquarella goes for 3,800. These were seemingly pretty comfortably below 1,000 a grade. I feel like I saw 3 at times, maybe into the 2s, and this goes for 38, which feels relatively strong to me. We have a 2023 Topps Crystal sticker auto for 4K. This is the type of stuff where, like, man, it's just, like, it's just a bad-looking card, in my opinion. I don't think Topps Crystal looks good. The Topps Crystal brand is terrible. The sticker looks awful. 4,000, like, really? Really? Like, look at these. We got cool cards up here. We got gold Ronaldos. We got a red Prism Ronaldo. We got some Messi rookies in high grade. We got an Aquarella in decent grade. We got green crystals. We got green chrome. We got national landmarks. And people are gonna buy this aluminium all. Like, come on. 36 watchers. Look at the other watchers. 126, 104, 55, 71. There's a reason, all right? There's a reason not that many people are watching that. So, maybe he wins the Ballon d'Or. Maybe he becomes, the next Messi. But come on. 2018 National Landmarks here. This goes for 4,200 and a PSA 9. It's up a little bit. Last PSA 9 it was a year ago in May, so I'll give you that. But it sold last May for 1,600, 1,700 2K. It actually was higher. Well, I say it was higher. This was actually the Mojo. So maybe not. It was higher in the past, at least comparatively to, what it was. I guess maybe even not. No, it was like 2,500 was the high that it was hitting before. Now it's at 4,200. So all-time high there, no big deal. Just a soccer market doing soccer market things. Green Chrome 2017 Ronaldo. People, if you haven't heard, some people like 2017 Chrome. I think that's sort of a thing in terms of pricing. Yeah, last one to sell was December 1,500. This goes for 43, so not bad. And in terms of all-time high sale, previously it was 2,700 in 2022, which was always interesting. I mean, and I've seen this with some of the other big sets where they had their run back in the day, and then they sort of went down and sort of stayed stagnant for a long time. And it seemingly, with this recent soccer boom where everything's booming, I think that's certainly helped these sorts of sets, and that's why you're seeing the number we saw there, I would guess. Above it, 1-of-1 Eminence Rooney's for nearly 5K. Feels pretty strong, if not solid at the very least. Decent pricing, I would say. But nonetheless, 2015 Select Red Prism Cristiano Ronaldo out of 10, 4,900. Typically you don't think out of 10 for a Red Prism, but given that it is out of 10, I feel like it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I think so. I mean, I like it, but, teach your own. It does look a little funky, like the auto part down here where it's just like blank in a whole segment of the card. It looks a little odd, but, nonetheless. We have a green Mbappe out of 5 from 2018 Donruss. This is the Optic, and it does have him in the French kit, and World Cup winning year, all that fun stuff, so you can make that narrative if you want. Last sold, we did have the same copy sell before for around 5K, around 7.8K. This one sells for 5K, so still down a good bit from 2023 pricing, and I guess the PSA 9 recently went for 7, so it feels about right, but seemingly not moving up and to the right. I thought this Messi was, pretty good price. I mean, obviously it's Messi, but personally I take both of the Ronaldos we saw. I take the red 2015 Select out of 10. I take the gold 2015 Select Patch Auto out of 5. I take both of them over the Messi. I always understand why Messi does good numbers. I mean, it's Messi. It's out of 10. It's Barca kit, but he wasn't with Barca at the time. This is a throwback card. And throwback cards in my head are always, if not one step down, many steps down. And for that reason, I take the Ronaldos. But, it's still impressive to see sticker auto throwback cards do 5.6K on the regular. I mean, it's a PSA 8 card grade, too. I mean, come on. come on, it's just crazy, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm not even like a prospect guy, but I mean, Mbappe's less of a prospect now, more of a solidified sort of figure. I'd still take an Mbappe green 2018 optic over that Messi. I mean, and I'm not a prospect guy. I don't know if I take the Eminence Rooney's. It would be tempting, but that might be. I'm not gonna make a comment on that. Anyways, Kaboom, Kylian Mbappe, CGC 10, which you don't see a whole lot of, but that goes for 6,600. You have an immaculate 2017 gold Cristiano Ronaldo patch auto, raw, which is always a little iffy, but raw nonetheless for 6,600. I'm going to guess that that's player worn. It is player worn, just to check it out. Also, having the sticker on there, okay, they do have an image. Okay. I mean, yeah, I could see why it's raw. That does not look good. Anyways, 6,600 there. Seems pretty decent considering the damage. National Treasures, well, National Landmarks, sorry, I keep doing that. But 6,900 here on that. Ronaldo, in terms of pass pricing, could have gone it in 2023 for 1,400. No big deal. Was 2,800 last year, now 6,900. So, just moving up a little bit here. Keeping it moving. In this row, take your pick of the Messis. One of them, I guess the gold on the far right, you'd get back $3,000 with you. Honestly, I think I'd take the gold. I think the gold and $3K cash would be my play. I could see the 71 bits. I really don't like the out of 20 patch auto, but maybe that's just me. I love the look of the 2016 gold. That just looks so clean to me. But I could see people taking the 71 bits also. But in terms of pricing, I'd imagine these are doing pretty well, considering what we've seen elsewhere for Messi. So I'm just going to take that as is. Notably, a lot more watchers on the gold. I didn't even recognize that. 144, which is pretty strong. Above it, again, a couple more Messis here. This Ronaldo in the middle is mind-boggling. I'm not sure what happened there, but we can talk about it again. Maybe this Messi's 71 bits was flashed. I would have to imagine that's what happened here because it got $1,000 less. That could come down to subgrades, but there also are 60 less watchers on it, so I'm guessing it was flashed. So another 71 bits there, 10.5K, average those out. It's a little over 10K, which is still very strong. Lots of these are selling, and they're still doing really well, which is, impressive and sort of not something you'd expect. You'd expect if a lot of 71 bits came to market, the prices drop. It's seemingly not really happening. Didn't mean to click here, but the subs are pretty, well, I was going to say they're pretty decent. I guess edges are 6.5. It looks decent, though, from here, so I'll give it that. Back's all right. There's a little chunk out of the left, but nonetheless, just zooming in here. Okay. I thought maybe that was like colored in over here or something, but I think that's just the design pattern. Anywho, 1996 R9, number 90, PSA 10 for 12.6K. My only guess here is that someone thought this was a rookie. I would guess. I looked up R9 Football, and the highest price sales ever were this 9.5 that had sold for 14.4K. The image isn't going to load for some reason. Can I open it in a new tab? There we go. Okay, so, this is pretty clearly, at least to me, this is his most iconic rookie sticker. I don't know how other people rate that. It does have sort of this red stuff going on here. Is it a 9.5? Is it a 9 or a PSA 10? I'm unsure. But sold as a 9.5, sold for 14K. And this is the next highest sale ever. And this is a second year R9. Now, PSA didn't mess this up. Fanatics didn't mess it up. They didn't put rookie in the title. The year date says 96-96. Really, it should be 95-96, but it says 96-96. As you can see here, his footballs from the year before, 94-95. There's a PSA 9 there for 8,700. This, well, where is it? This, I believe, is his rookie. This says 95, but really it's 94-95. It's just sort of a mess in terms of how PSA's labeled this, but here you go, 94-95. So this is a whole year earlier than the sale we just saw on a PSA 10. Now, granted, we haven't seen any PSA 10s other than this one. This is, again, the second year, but this sold for 7,800. Now, personally, I'd imagine June 2021 had a lot of less knowledgeable folks hopping into stuff like this. And so I think, maybe someone overpaid back then, and that led to someone overpaying now again. I'm not quite sure, because you see here in 2021, it also sold for 4,100. So, and even that feels decently strong. Now, it's PSA 10 R9, I get it, it's fun, but yeah, 12.6 seems crazy, and I think someone thought that was a rookie. because that's, at least in my mind, how it would make sense. So very interesting to see nonetheless, and maybe not in a good way, but nonetheless, PSA 10 Cyrillic Lionel Messi, 15K. I feel like I looked this one up. Yeah, so the only other sale was last year for 4,800. So, again, cool little tripling in price. I've always personally liked the Cyrillics. I think that they are a, very notable card. I always sort of like the Prism parallels that are specific to that World Cup. So in 2014, you have the green crystals that are sort of that World Cup's ode to Brazil. Here you have the Cyrillic text, which is for the Russian World Cup. Now in 2022, you have the maroon parallels, which are out of 22. And so I always like that. Now these are a little different, at least in some sense, because they look like a base card. I would much prefer, a colorful parallel than a name text change, but it is still unique. It is still cool. And I think the estimated print run on these are like 15 to 20, probably somewhere in there. So that sort of matches up with, being nearly out of 18, which would be cool. And in terms of pricing, feels strong, but personally to me, I get it. I like it. I think that it makes sense. And I think it's a fun one, just whether or not other people sort of feel the same way. And seemingly a few people felt that way about this one. So pretty cool to see. And then the top three from this week, Ronaldo, Messi, and Messi. So we have a Ronaldo Mega Cracks going for 16.2, his rookie card in a PSA 8. I actually felt like that wasn't wildly strong. Like, a BGS 6.5 plus 5 to 6 grand, or a Mega Cracks Ronaldo 8. I take the Mega Cracks Ronaldo 8 personally. I thought that was a decent price point. In terms of past sales, I'm sure I brought some up here, I would have to imagine. And yeah, it's doing all right. In 2024, you could have got this for 4 to 5K. Last sale was in June for 9K, and then this one goes for 16, which from June to now, in most things soccer, it's more than doubled, and this is less than doubled. So maybe you could look at that as sort of a win. It peaked back in 2021 at about 20. So I guess we are getting back to nearly peak 2021 pricing. But, on someone like Ronaldo, where he's got 2 cards, I could rationalize it a lot easier personally. But nonetheless, I feel like 16.2 wasn't a crazy overpay. It's clearly strong compared to where we were last year, but I think in where we are right now, I don't think it's that crazy. I think a PSA 8 Messi is like 30 to 40, somewhere in there. And so a PSA 8 Ronaldo for 16.2 when he only has 2 rookies, I like it. And then next to it, 2 PSA 10 Mega Crack Messis from the Mega Cracks team set from the 2004-2005 season, but the cards were released in 2005 after they had already won the league. But you have a PSA 10 number 89 and a PSA 10 number 35. The 35 pretty coveted. The PSA 10 number 89 a little easier to get, hence the pricing here. So 23K in the PSA 10 number 89. In terms of pricing, just look at that chart. Look at that chart. Doesn't that tell you all you need to know about what's going on right now? It's just crazy. But this peaked in 2021 at 24K, and we've actually brushed over that recently. Not with this sale necessarily, but with a sale recently. So, yeah, just crazy stuff, honestly. But that's, again, sort of where we're at. And then the number 35, this one I don't believe has the price in here. Oh, it does actually. Okay, it just peaked higher in 2021. This peaked at 65K. It's currently sitting now at 40K. Could have been had for around 8K. So, again, no big deal. Just, a nice 5X from the floor pricing in 2022 for one of the best, if not the best player ever. So, big week, another big week. They've all been big weeks. Soccer's just going nuts right now, and how long will this last? Will it last? Could it go on forever? Will we stabilize at these prices? Will we go higher? Will we go lower? I don't know. But next week we've got some more big cards. So, golly. PSA 10 Mega Cracks. You got a PSA 7 of the 71 Binnis. You got a PSA 9 Monday Chromo. Already at like 8K with BP. PSA 4 Maradona. You got a 9.5 Este. My lord. Eminence Messi. PSA 10. BGS 8. Gold Messi. PSA 9. Silver. BGS 8.5. Oh my god. Just red. Cristiano. it seems like the high prices brought out some decent cards. And, I mean, judged by the pricing, it doesn't seem like they're going to be stopping, really. But next week is another pretty fine week, if I do say so myself. So, interested to see how that goes. Hopefully you are too. But that's going to be it for me today. Again, as always, if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Any thoughts you had on something you bought and sold, maybe thought sold high or low, would love to hear in a comment down below. If you want to see more videos like this as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.